Sixers calling on Tobias Harris, working on Caruso, goes to the basket, fades away from mid-range to take the lead with 2.4 seconds. Inbound Davis, he's at half court, throws up a prayer. It's off, and Tobias Harris with the game.
It's on. The struggle is real. It's the show that made you woke. Great sports talk among some friends, and nothing is out of bounds. As one maniac millennial said, the Fourth and Long pod is totally lit. Time for the Fourth and Long podcast with Chris Lazzarotti, Matt Migden, and Michael Baldini. It's on, and it starts right now.
Fourth and Long. It is good to be back. It is Thursday, January 28th. You'll probably be hearing this on the morning of the 29th. We got Maddie, I don't even know what, Maddie Blue Lights, Chrissy Clear Glasses, and Mikey Blue Light Glasses over here. Hold on, Migden, you're on mute. Hold up. There
yeah, you muted me.
I thought you guys muted yourselves.
You muted me when you played the Tobias Harris sound clip. I know that.
We got three Italian kids with blue light glasses on, ready to take over the world right here.
Who would have fucking thought? Yeah.
How are we, boys?
We're good. It's been like a month. But you know what? Some things never change. Mike Tomlin can't show up for the playoffs. Has 3 playoff wins in 11 years. 3 playoff wins in 11 years. And he's got a job.
That didn't take long. That did not take long, huh?
Someone, give me a second.
God.
How?
We
playoff
couldn't even
wins
get to my introduction.
3 playoff wins in 11 years, and he has a job. The Eagles have had, 6 playoff wins in the last 3 years, and they fired their damn coach. It was justified. How is this? How? There's no way.
This is probably one of our longest running plot lines of Fourth.
Oh, I've been talking about this for probably since the show started 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Before you guys were even on it. Oh my God. I can't. We're gonna let it go. Oh, but we are being outscored 49-0 in our last 2 playoff games in the first 20 minutes. For like about 25 minutes. That's a good stat for you. So keep it up, Coach T. You were 11-0 and you should have finished 0-6, but you got lucky against the Colts. Go ahead.
We got plenty to gripe about after a month's time of being off. Good things though on the horizon for Matty Miggs and his New York Jets. You're pretty much draining the swamp over there, right?
Hey man, and first I want to say it's good to be back. You know, I feel back at home here on the podcast, hearing Lazzarotti, complain about Mike Tomlin. The blue light glasses were back. But, yeah, we are kind of draining the swamp. A full 180 in New York. Our owner's big brother, who actually owns the team, is back. So Woody's back. Christopher Johnson is gone, who I thought was a major problem.
He's creating a vaccine.
But yeah. Well,
I gotta say this one thing, Migden. I'll stop at this. I meant to text you, but I couldn't because my pocket was. The doctor last week, or like 2 weeks ago, a doctor said we were talking about the vaccine, and he asked if I got my vaccine, and I said no. He goes, I said I might wait for the J&J one because it's a one and done. He goes, you're gonna trust Johnson & Johnson? That team can't even run the Jets. How are they gonna make a vaccine? I thought it was funny. He said, if that family can't run a football team? It's funny, but go ahead. I thought it was really funny.
No. Well, I want to make it known that Woody was in the cabinet for the last presidential administration. So he comes back, and he's a little bit more competent than his younger brother. The younger brother didn't know how to run a football team. The younger brother pushed out that vaccine. My arm is not getting anywhere near a needle with his shit in it. So that's for one thing. But that's funny, Liza, you say that. Yeah, Deanie, the Jets look like there's bright skies, over Florham Park. I'm getting cautiously excited. It's the off season. It's like our Super Bowl, but for the first time in a while, gentlemen, it really feels like we got the right hire. We got the right coach. Because, you go back to the last coaching search, and we hired a guy that just came off a firing, and in the vision, and the Dolphin fans hated him. The only reason we hired him was because Peyton Manning had a good letter of recommendation. But now we got a guy that's like a CEO presence, and some would compare him to Mike Tomlin. To be honest with you, Mike Tomlin has his hand in every single. Hey, Mike Tomlin has not had a losing record since he's been a coach of the Steelers. You can babble all you want about playoffs.
He's had 4-8-8. He's had 4-8-8 and 2-9-7. So he flirts with the line. But keep going.
Hey, he's never had a losing record. But maybe Robert Saleh is the playoff guy. Bobby Biceps, we're calling him. The guy's built like a brick house.
I'll tell you what, Bobby Biceps. He's got a shiny head. He's energetic in the press conferences. He's got a positive attitude. You know, some of these intangibles, he's checking the boxes off already, as opposed to, you know, your boy Gase last time, very dull, eyes were bugging out. You know, I'm liking what I see right now from Bobby Buys, not to be mistaken with Mitchie Buys.
No, not to be mistaken with Mitchie Buys, but Bobby Buys, you know, Robert Saleh, I'm telling you, you read about this guy, you read about his journey. You know, his brother was in like the 60th floor of one of the Twin Towers when it was hit. And he made it out alive. He escaped. And right after that happened, Robert, who was actually at a corporate job like all of us, said, you know what? I'm going to chase my passion. I'm going to go into football because life is not guaranteed tomorrow. And he went and he followed his dreams. Became a coach of the I think it was like a defensive specialist. Like they do have these like coordinators, like run coordinators, pass coordinators. He was some kind of coordinator, not an OC or DC for the Texans. Found himself in the Pete Carroll system, then the Shanahan, and now he's our head coach in New York City, where that realization came about 19 years ago. So it's pretty remarkable. And I just feel like when he says I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, I get goosebumps. I really feel like this guy could be the coach of the Jets for the next 5 years and bring success to the fan base that's been starving, gentlemen, starving for success. Deanie, you just had a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Laz, the Steelers are one of the most successful NFL teams ever. This fan base needs playoffs, at least playoffs. Maybe not next year, but we just need some wins. And I think Saleh can make it happen. I really have a lot of faith in him. And if it doesn't work out, you're going to see it. You're going to see me and a lot of Jet fans like really feel the pain if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I think if it doesn't work out, you've been through – I mean, you know the number, I'm sure. In the past 5 years – I guess I'm not really – or the past 4 years, it was – you had Bowles and then who was after – was Gase right after Bowles or was there someone else?
Yep. No, it was Bowles and then Gase.
But like,
yeah, Bowles.
You know, and obviously you guys were excited about both. And I do think that like when you look at the three and just forget about what happened with Gase, like just from what I'm hearing around the league is everyone's like the Jets got someone like they, you know, like Gase, it was people were just saying, oh, he's good. He develops quarterbacks or whatever. And he sorts cocaine or whatever, because that's true. But this Gase dude or Salah or however you say it, he's Saleh. He reminds me of Brian Flores a little bit. He reminds me of Brian Flores. Not necessarily like I don't know if Flores has his hand in everything the way Saleh will, but he kind of he looks like he works out with the players. He probably does. I think hopefully he's a player's coach, but be really careful with that term because Tomlin's a player's coach and it's a circus every year. So I hope he's not too much of a player's coach, but I hope he's respected as the boss, but I hope that the players trust him. And if you have those two things, respect and trust, it's a great relationship. So I think there's a good chance and from seeing Twitter and all that shit, Richard Sherman said he is phenomenal. Like they got the greatest hire he could ever get and all this stuff. So I think it's a great move for the Jets. I think the Jets, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's not next year, but it's going to take a couple years, but there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel with the hire.
It seems that way. It really does. We have a lot of decisions to be made. There's been a lot of rumors coming about, but we started in the right place with the coach. We just need the right coach who can come in and develop talent. Seems like we hit on that. I know he hasn't coached a game, and I might be jumping the gun a little bit. But what he brought to the press conference, what people have said about him around the league, it's just a total different feel than when we had Gase and Bowles right away. So that's exciting. The reporting structure changed. So we haven't had a show in a while. I called Michael K's show about a month ago, and I said something that's not said a lot on the New York radio. And it wasn't about X's and O's. It wasn't about this play or that. It was about the reporting structure in the Jets organization. That's how crazy of a fan I am. And you guys probably know the same thing for your teams. But when Chris Johnson took over for the interim owner, he came in and he had 2 separate meetings once a week. He had a separate meeting with the coach, Adam Gase, and a separate meeting with Joe Douglas, the GM. They were never all in the same room having one meeting. And it was like one of the only teams in the league to do this. And it made no sense because they were almost treated as equals instead of the GM being the head coach's boss. And if the head coach and the GM are on the same page, then what's going to happen? Dysfunction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm working as a staff and there's someone above me and there's someone above me, why am I not working directly with the person right above me and skipping them to the person above them? And
That's
now
what
there's miscommunication.
That's what I can't understand with the Eagles too. I don't want to go there right now, but I'm like, I totally get it. Like Peterson, Roseman, and Laurie all needed to be on the same page, and obviously they weren't. So, yeah, I totally get that. So, I mean, if they're all going to be in the room together, that's what you want, ideally.
Right. So I call the show and I complain about this, and the guy pretty much, and I said, how can I have any faith in this owner when he doesn't really know a lot about football and he's making the coaching hire? You know, I want Douglas, who's been around the game, to make the coaching hire. And they ended up having Douglas pretty much make the hire, and Johnson was just signing off, which was what I was advocating for on this show. But the broadcaster has ties to the Jets. I won't name names. Had to defend the owner. He had to defend the owner. So he made me kind of look stupid saying, well, and he didn't make me look stupid, but he
it's Bob Wischusen, right?
Bob Wischusen cut me off, and he was like, no fans are going to complain about the reporting structure when they get good players. You wouldn't believe the first question in the introduction press conference to Saleh was, has the reporting structure changed? The first question. So, yes, it was important, Bob Wischusen, and he said, yes, it changed. Saleh will report to Douglas. Douglas will report to me. Like a hierarchy structure. That's how it should be. So it looks like we're starting on the right foot. We're actually making actual good plays already, you know? So we'll see. We'll see. A lot of decisions to be made. I know Douglas is at the helm. I know Deanie was talking about a rumor right when I got on the pre-show.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to go to. Who's going to be under center week 1 for you guys? Because I got 3 options, I think, ideally for you guys. But, you know, you're a pretty ardent Sammy D supporter, and I think you want them to ride it out with him. But a little wrench thrown in the plans there. DeShaun Watson asking for a trade from Houston. I gotta think that the Jets would like him. Obviously a guy that just was kind of poorly, I don't know, would you say poorly handled by his franchise over the last couple years? They traded away his best receiver. It doesn't seem like Bill O'Brien is the best when it comes to interacting with the players. I could be wrong. I don't know. That's all speculation. But
no, you're right about
if
that.
DeShaun Watson comes to New York, are you okay with that? Are you good with getting rid of Sammy? Or what if you guys draft a quarterback? I know you're probably not going to get Lawrence, but are you going to roll the dice on someone else? Like, where do you guys go from here?
Deanie, I mean, the plan A for, I think, every knowledgeable Jet fan is DeShaun Watson. The reason why DeShaun Watson is linked to the Jets right now is because going into this offseason, I don't think there's any other teams that can offer the package the Jets could offer to the Texans. I think every team, maybe minus the Chiefs, the Seahawks, the Packers, and the Buccaneers, would take DeShaun Watson on their team right tomorrow. Those teams I just mentioned have Russ, Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady.
Well,
The Jets,
not be careful when you say Rodgers, though. But that's another story for another day. But
my point is that Watson's a top 5 quarterback right now.
I agreed. He's like, yeah, he's probably. I mean, you can make a couple cases for other quarterbacks, but like Watson, maybe not the Jets or like if Watson's on the Jets tomorrow, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but they're certainly a 10-6 contender. Like he's that good.
Well, whenever you can get a top 5 quarterback, you're going to do it. That's how I feel.
Yeah,
if the Jets are able to get a top 5 quarterback in the prime of his career who has 10 years left at least, everybody says, oh, well, Deshaun Watson's a mobile quarterback. He really isn't. Yes, he can use his legs, and he does, but he's not Lamar Jackson running out there. He's making spot-on throws. He had a career year after DeAndre Hopkins got shipped out of town. Deanie, you alluded to that, how mistreated these players are in Houston. I mean, Deshaun Watson, they're taking away talent from him. He wants out. Today, he formally requested a trade. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's going somewhere else. He'll hold out or he'll go somewhere else.
The only thing I always tend to look at this is with quarterbacks that tend to – he's really athletic, but he is not a run-first quarterback. I think if I could think of a quarterback that he emulates the most in the league, it's Mahomes. I'm not saying he's Mahomes. Because Mahomes is literally on his own tier. Like, no one's that good. He's just special. But he emulates Mahomes in terms of he's a thrower, and then he's not a runner. He's let me get out of the pocket to create a throw, and then, okay, if I have to scramble for 6 yards and run out of bounds, I will. He doesn't take hits. Lamar can't even say that, I don't think, because they designed too many runs for Lamar where they don't for DeShaun. The only thing that concerns me is that, and this is like not a conspiracy or anything, but when you play in the AFC, he played at Clemson, so he played in the ACC. He played in the AFC South, so he played he played half of his games in a dome. That's 8. He played in Indy in a dome. That's 9. In Jacksonville in Florida, that's 10. In Tennessee. That's 11 games a year, guaranteed. He played in either a dome or warm weather. I think that I really believe this, and I'm sure his stats could possibly show that he's not as great as the temperature goes down. It's just a weird thing. I think if he played in New York, he'd be playing in some skeptical weather type games where your body's more prone to getting hurt and you don't have so much zip on the ball and you got to get balls out quick. I don't know. I'm just saying. Playing down south, I think, is a huge advantage to the quarterback position. You can totally disagree and say, fuck it, Deshaun's too good. And I'm not saying it would make him bad, but I think he might in a couple of years, in 5 or 6 years, I think that could wear him down.
So you're telling me that you're crazy. I know you're obsessed with the weather and all, but if Deshaun Watson was going to be the Steelers quarterback next year, you'd be like, nah, it's too cold for him. I don't want him here.
No. I'm not saying no. And again, I'm not saying. I just don't think like when you get if Deshaun is on a team that goes 12-4 or 11-5 because he's not been in that spot, or he was once and he lost in the first round to I want to say was it Cincinnati? I can't remember, but he lost in the first round at home on a wild card weekend. But regardless, I just think that in a cold weather Pittsburgh game in the playoffs, I'd be a little worried just for his first time. I would. Like I remember Peyton was the same way as he got a little older too.
Deanie, rein him in. Please.
I mean, I think I'd probably come in the middle of it and say his stats are probably inflated because of the the lack of cold weather games, but obviously he can still get it done.
Oh,
think about the game at Lambeau last week, or like when it's really cold, for example, you're probably going to run it more, or at least balance out the running game. But I still think DeShaun would be a total game changer if he came to New York. I don't know. I don't see it being that big of a deal. But Migs, are you willing to trade for him? And then are you willing to say bye to Darnold? What's your position on that?
Yeah. So he's plan A. Can't. He's a top 5 quarterback in the league. When you have a chance, you give everything for him. And it just so happens that the Jets have one of the best trade packages available for a big overhaul.
Is that all picks or what is that?
So the Jets
give us some color here.
Yeah, so the Jets have 19 picks in the next 2 years. That has accumulated over like a Leonard Williams trade 2 years ago. Jamal Adams, we got a whole big thing for Jamal Adams, right? So right now we have 19 picks, including the 2nd overall this year, the 24th overall this year, the 34th overall this year, and then a first round next year, and I think like 2 second rounds next year. It's a lot of picks, Deanie. So right now we're pretty appealing to a Houston Texans team who might have a quarterback position vacancy. You think about what happened here, and Lazarati, you said comparison maybe Mahomes. DeShaun Watson, you remember that clip?
Whoa. He's never going to be as good as Mahomes. I just think that his style resembles Mahomes. That's it.
Okay, that's
the
all
same way, like an idiot, I said Ryan Daly's style emulated Doncic, which was the stupidest shit. At the time, I believed it.
Yeah, you said it.
Oh, yeah, I believed it. I totally did. But I was completely wrong looking at what happened.
Also, newsflash, we're really bad again. St. Joe's basketball.
Shit. We should spend 10 minutes talking on that. Like, it's almost eye-opening how bad it is. Like, this is – oh, man, we'll save it because I'm going to pull up some stats that'll just fucking blow your mind.
We can save that for the end.
Wait, so let me finish here. Yeah, we'll save it for the end. But let me finish here. It's a little bit closer to Deshaun Watson and Mahomes than Daly and Doncic. All right, I want to say that first. But they're walking off the field after the last loss to Texans, and J.J. Watt goes up to Deshaun and says, "I'm so sorry we wasted another year of your talent." And they caught it on the hot mic. You got to love a hot mic. Going into that offseason, the owner had dinner with Deshaun and said, "Deshaun, we want your opinion in our next GM search and our next head coaching search." So Deshaun says, "Great, let's work together on it." They ended up hiring the GM from the Patriots. He was the chaplain, believe it or not, for Bill Belichick all those years. He started as a team chaplain, and now he's a GM of the Texans.
What?
Yeah, crazy story. It's under the radar.
What the hell?
Then Deshaun goes to them and says, "I want you to interview Robert Saleh, who's the Jets coach, and Eric Bieniemy." Eric Bieniemy is the OC for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
And people rave about this guy and his creativity with the play calling. He should get a lot of credit for how good Mahomes has been in the last 2-3 years. Eric Bieniemy is in that room, and he's killing it. Watson wants him to be interviewed. He wants Saleh to be interviewed. The Texans do not interview either of them. After he said they promised him a say, he said interview him. Not hire him, just interview him. Didn't even interview him. And that was when Watson, there was like a tweet that said he went from an anger level of 2 to a 9. And that's when it was like it was lost. Right then and there when they didn't interview him. They ended up interviewing Bieniemy after the fact, but at that point, Deshaun had a bad taste in his mouth and said he wanted out. Then all the reports come out. He likes New York. His cousin got a jet green Corvette. They got it on video, him saying you should get the jet green one. Allen Robinson's on Twitter liking shit, Watson in a jet uniform. Shit's starting to roll, baby. Watson might be coming to the New York Jets. It really could be happening. There's reports out of Legion of Hoops saying James Harden and Durant are recruiting a big-name star in another league. Who do you think they're talking about, Deanie? Robert Saleh's at his press conference saying, "I look out for the well-being of my players." You know what happened 10 minutes later that only Matty Miggs pieced together? Deshaun Watson said, "Wow." He tweeted, "Wow. He's really going to be there for you." Like a subtweet. No one knew what he talked about. I pieced it together. I saw it. I said, shit. He wants to come here Deshaun Watson wants to be a New York Jet. You remember that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, Deanie, when the guy took his own life because Le'Veon Bell tore his ACL, hypothetically, in a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode. They're at the funeral, and the widow is talking to Larry David, and she says, "Those goddamn Jets." And Larry goes, oh, "Just another loss on their record," was her deceased husband. And she says, "You know, in the middle of the night sometimes he would just scream, 'Watson, Watson.'" What is that in reference to, Larry? Is that a Sherlock Holmes reference? And Larry goes, "I think he's referencing when the Jets passed on Deshaun Watson in the 2017 draft."
It's almost like a fairy tale if you guys get him.
Yeah, well, now there's on Twitter. There's
the guy full circle like a Curb episode.
And you know what's funny? On Twitter, it's trending like "Do it for Carl." Carl was the guy. So that clip is trending. "Do it for Carl."
That is great.
So yeah, Deanie, I'm excited, and if that's on the table, I'm taking it. I love Sam, but it's Deshaun Watson.
Right? Yeah, you got to make the right move. Just like the Sixers should have traded for Harden, but that, of course, swept under the rug. I got based by the Sixers faithful. No, we got to keep the roster together, the process, all this shit. All right, well, you know what? You got to do what you got to do. You can't be afraid to let go of some assets, which you have plenty. So it looks
That's
like
exactly
you can get them.
Exactly what I'm saying. We could give up.
To let them go. The Jets don't draft well, anyways.
Dude, the draft is a scratch off $2 lottery ticket. It really is.
I agree.
Sometimes you can get a quick return. Sometimes you get your money back and you could buy another one. Sometimes and most of the time outside the first round, it really never works. It's like, here you go. That's a new one for you, Lazarati. The NFL draft is like a scratch-off lottery ticket, and the first round's like a $20 ticket. You're always going to win something, a little something. Going on in the later rounds, you might hit on a 6th-round pick like Brady. You might hit $1,000. Bang. But, yeah. Deanie, you're right. We have capital. We got capital to spend. We got a lot of cap space.
You guys won't regret it either, because have the Jets really had a QB as good as Deshaun Watson in I don't know how many years?
No. I don't think they ever have.
You could argue in the history
Namath wasn't. I bet you Namath. I mean, with the way the game's changed, Namath wasn't as good as Deshaun Watson.
No, I agree.
We love Namath.
Migden might be. You could override that.
No, I'm saying like the way, like his talent level, like you can clearly tell that Namath wasn't as a freak athlete as Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. No. And the guy is a fucking winner. He played at Clemson. He won them their first national championship in however long it was, and then did it again. And I watched those Texans play a lot of games because, unfortunately, we're degenerate gamblers. And I actually lost a lot of money on the Texans this year because I trusted in Watson, and they lost some fucking heartbreakers at the end. And every time, just guys dropping passes and shit. And Watson would be in his players' ears. And I remember thinking, this guy wants to win. He doesn't care about – they would have 40 points. His stats were through the roof. He didn't give a fuck. He cares about winning. And that, to me, is you cannot coach attitude. You can't coach passion. You cannot. And a guy like Watson is a gem. You're right, Migden. I think he's right there with top 5 quarterbacks in the league.
He brings so much to the table that you can't get in the draft.
Nope.
And like, especially this year. I mean, I'm not saying that these quarterbacks in the draft are going to be shit, but they're not going to be Deshaun Watson. Watson, when he was at Clemson, I remember I was all in on him for that draft, just like Carl was in Curb. I was all in because I thought he was a winner. And what happened was the teams were looking too much into the combine results. They saw Trubinsky run whatever he did in the 40, jump whatever he did. They took him 2nd overall over Deshaun Watson, who just beat Bama in the national championship. How could you do that? How?
Well, that's why I'm big. It's a great point. That's why I'm big on Mac Jones. And I am. I texted
Interesting.
I would love to see the Steelers get
very
Mac Jones.
Interesting.
I was also huge on now I'm forgetting his name. Who was the Bama quarterback? Where
AJ McCarron?
Yes, where Musburger said the creepy thing about his wife.
Yeah.
I was huge on McCarron. I thought he was going to be really good, and he actually was a decent backup for a little bit. But I really believe that that Mac Jones has something.
Mm.
But of course, he's behind O-linemen that are 400 pounds and made of steel, Najee Harris, and maybe
Devonta
the most
Smith.
freakish wide receiver we've ever seen in
Right.
terms of his wingspan, his ability, his vertical, his speed. Like his arms are literally past his knees when he's standing. Did you guys see the picture of him in the national
Lazarani.
championship?
Yes.
Lazarani.
Yes.
I saw this guy play and I was like, what's so special about him? Like he looks like he's beating everybody in a foot race, but he looks skinny. Right. Like what is up with him? And then I saw that picture and I'm like, this guy's fingertips are touching his shins and he's not even bending down.
Right.
And then I realized, dude, everything in a 8 feet radius, this guy's snagging like he's Elastic Man because his arms are so damn long.
Oh my God. He, in my opinion, should be the first overall pick. I think, forget it. I get you go, there's a great lineman, or you take – I think Lawrence is overrated, first of all. In big games, he has not been as great the past couple of years. I think even college teams have figured him out. So I really think he's overrated. He ain't going to be a Joe Burrow. I'll tell you that. Joe Burrow's going to be way better than –
All right,
that's a very hot take.
I want to get into the Eagles because – I got a couple questions posed for you guys. I always like to see how non-Eagles fans think about this. So, obviously, Doug has been fired since the last time we recorded. I'll be honest, I was a little shocked. I thought that they would maybe give it one more year, but then I started to slowly hear little drops from the media that him and Wentz's relationship has been broken for well over this season, maybe even middle of last season. And then I was hearing John Ritchie, who, I've actually met before, but then I didn't realize how big he was in the media. Went on Rosillo's podcast, I think sometime last week or 2 weeks ago. Basically just saying it how it was with Wentz and Doug, and how Wentz wouldn't even go to Doug when he had a problem. He'd go right to Howie. So right there, you got kind of going back to your point, Miggs. Not all the guys were in the room together, so to speak.
That's terrible.
You also hear little, individual stories about Wentz, little, droplets from the media too about him just being a total head case about taking coaching and criticism. And, I'm not confident that his head's in a good place no matter what. And I definitely think that there were better options for us to go in terms of coaches. And who knows? Maybe even Saleh took the Jets job or the Eagles job. I don't know. But this is basically the Eagles' last attempt to reconcile Wentz. It sounds like with this hire. It's not a headline grabber, this hire. He's the offensive coordinator for the Colts. There's nothing incredibly special about it, but there was also nothing incredibly special about Peterson's hiring, and look how that turned out. But it's kind of like I was not too excited when I heard the news. And I don't think a lot of other people were. It's just kind of one of those things where I feel like now, like the Eagles are just totally different. We've sobered up from all that glory of the Super Bowl and the success thereafter. I feel like things are getting real. And I feel like, the last 2 years we've been on this podcast and we've been, covering the NFL week in and week out. Like the Eagles have just gone so far distance from that. Mm-hmm. I personally feel like as a fan, that it's almost like kind of incredible. Like the same thoughts that I had about the Eagles 2 years ago. I don't feel that confidence anymore. I don't have any confidence in Wentz. I know he can be a good quarterback and he's a talented guy. But I think when you throw in all the other variables into that, I think he's just too stubborn. And I tend to believe what the media reports about it because it all comes out after the fact. Doug's gone, so there's no real, shit kicking going around. It's not like Doug's going to have a press conference about everything people say about him. But obviously he couldn't really call a good game. It's pretty evident from last year. So I get the firing, but I think Wentz, I know we had that rapid fire segment back. I don't know how long ago that was, but I think Wentz was the bigger problem. I really do. And I mean, I get it. The guy might not have a lot of flair and creativity on the offensive side, but I think Wentz was way more of a problem. And now you get this new guy coming in. I don't know. I hope he can. If Wentz really just can't take coaching at all, how is it going to be any different than Doug? So I'm very concerned going forward. Obviously I want this coach to do well. I'm going to pull up his offensive stats or basically how the Colts offense is on.
So let me say this.
Yeah,
I felt like the Eagles this year, the way they did it, was almost a page out of the New York Jets book and how their organization is run. I really think that Peterson, he had an off-year coaching. It wasn't working. Nothing was clicking. Wentz wasn't working for him. But I think a lot of the blame also should have been on Howie Roseman. I think he's missed on multiple drafts the last 3 to 4 years, especially since I've been in Philadelphia. I'm kind of understanding the Eagles a lot better every year. This situation, if you were going to part ways with one of them, you should have parted ways with both of them. It was something that shouldn't have been done. And you also waited. There was like 6 head coaching vacancies, and you waited like a week and maybe a couple days to fire Peterson. By that time, Saleh was already in the building for his second interview.
Right. The timing was terrible.
So the timing was terrible.
So bad. Why couldn't you have fired him on Black Monday? As soon as the season's
I think that
over.
also I think it proves that it was a decision that was not a long time coming. Like it was a difficult one.
Yeah.
If they knew with 4 weeks left when they were eliminated, essentially, like they could have had that conversation. I really think it was because of the way that game went in Week 17 against Washington on Sunday Night Football. If there's too many of the Eagles players were like going to cause a fucking fuss about it, saying we can't play for a team or coach that doesn't want to win. And I think overall they decided we can't have Doug here. Like to me, that's gotta be a huge factor in it. Huge.
They're basically scrambling after the end of the season. And it just doesn't make any sense. You get Doug out of there right away after the season, and we were already out of the playoffs before the last week of the season, so you had plenty of time to think it over. And then you waste all this time trying to find a coach when, Matty Miggs' Jets are hiring guys with good resumes and guys that I would have been excited to hire.
It was their second interview. You were a week and a half late, and when that happens,
exactly.
You're behind the ball. Laz, I want to go back to your point real quick. See, that's the thing. I don't know if firing is almost the right term, where I think Peterson, this is my take from an outsider looking in. I think that Peterson was told to play Sudfeld in that third and fourth quarter. I think Howie Roseman had something to do with that. And there's like a record on the record saying Peterson didn't like being told what to do. And I think that contributed to it. And maybe it was more of a parting ways.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good thought. Another thing too that fans were saying was that Peterson did say that we were going to test Sudfeld out in the game. But it was you're playing a divisional opponent that's literally playing for the division, and the Giants are at home, and they were playing so hard throughout the game. And then you bring in Sudfeld with
8 minutes left or something.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
And some people think – I read some shit. If you watch the plays that Sudfeld came in, those plays from the minute it was snapped, the play was blown up. Some of those plays were – so that there's another theory is, were they calling plays that knew they had no chance? Were the O-linemen not blocked? Like, what was it? Who knows? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think that I don't think Doug wanted to essentially, I don't think he was confident that Hurts could be good this year, but he had no other choice because his relationship with Wentz was so bad. And then the media comes in, and then the press comes in, they pressure him to make these decisions, and then he sees his job basically dangled out in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then to make things even more confusing, real quick, they hired a new quarterbacks coach, Brian Johnson. He's from Florida, I believe. And just, conveniently, he's known Jalen Hurts since Jalen Hurts was 4 years old. So throw another wrench into this whole fucking disaster.
This happened recently.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know about this.
So wait, let me get this straight. You hired a Reich guy who worked very well with Wentz.
Yeah.
And when you did that, people on Twitter around the league said this was a Wentz hire. And now you just hired a quarterbacks coach that's
right.
Jalen Hurts.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
It's already dysfunctional. We're already on.
I know. It's like, it's absurd.
Nathan can sniff out dysfunction like faster than anybody.
Dude, I can smell it.
I don't know what like, I don't understand. It's because it's got to be Howie, because Laurie owned the team when Reed was here, and we had a lot of success. Obviously, we didn't win a Super Bowl, but things were functioning well. We had a good reputation in the league, kind of like how the Steelers operate, aside from Laz's opinion about their coach. We were like a good, a well-ran franchise. And then as soon as Howie comes in, things get fucking crazy. And now people are questioning Laurie. I mean, I believe Laurie knows how to do his job. I just think Howie is like really just overriding decisions. And I think Laurie is getting a little complacent with Howie. That's the only thing I can kind of think of here. But this is like, I know it's just the quarterback's coach hire, but like once that tweet goes out, and who God only knows what Wentz thinks about that. But
yeah,
it's
but
like
it's already
so much confusion there.
If the quarterback coach is having separate meetings with the quarterbacks right from the get-go, that first meeting, this guy's known Jalen Hurts since he's 4 years old. There's going to be chemistry there, and Wentz is going to feel like the odd man out, and their relationship's going to be behind the other guy. So right away, I just think it's kind of setting it up for disaster. But I do want to make one point, Deanie, that I thought was pretty hysterical throughout the whole Eagles coaching search. And that was the delusional fan base that the Eagles proved themselves to be. Not every fan, not like the ones that are really in the weeds, but there was some fans that just seemed like they were crazy to me. Gabagool is a very down-to-earth Eagles fan, but he showed sometimes something that would make me upset, and his take was okay. It kind of made sense to me, but he's not the people I'm talking about, but he kind of scratched the surface for what I'm about to say. A week later, when you're interviewing candidates, if you turned on the you turn on Eagle Radio, these fans thought that Lincoln Riley was coming, that Robert Saleh was coming, that Arthur Smith was coming.
Right.
Pretty much every hot name.
That's what Eagles fans do.
For a job. They were like every hot name. Oh, wait, you know what? The Eagles could get him. Meanwhile, the Eagles are probably had the worst cap situation going into next year. They have a quarterback dysfunctional room where they're not sure who's going to be the guy. Their GM can't draft. It's a total position that I don't think any first-year head coach, hot name, really wants to step into when you have a Falcons job, a Jaguars job, a Jets job. Right. A lot of jobs.
It also could be a potential career killer if you're locked into a long-term deal.
Dude, you're going into no cap space.
Look at the roster you're inheriting too. It's an older roster. And
roster, quarterback battle. It's not an enticing job. That's why I was laughing at myself when people were like, "We're going to get Lincoln Riley."
No, but that's what Eagles fans do, and we do this with the draft too. And I don't even try. You might as well never look at the mocks ever again for the Eagles because they never draft the guy they're projected to get ever.
No, they never did.
Ever.
Literally never. They're never even like there's always by the time April hits, there's like 5 or 6 names you've heard. Every year they say who it is,
right?
And every Eagles fan either goes, "How do you even pronounce that name?" Like with Nelson Aguilar,
or
who is that? Who is that? Like, who is that?
Like Rager was from TCU. I swear to God, he wasn't even on McShay's top 10 most available. And then I remember thinking before we got Peterson, I remember there was like a prominent coach out there who I thought we should have given. I forget who it was. I was thinking, I think it was right before Gruden came back to the Raiders. I was like, yeah, I would give him a shot. Like, I think it'd be worth it. I think he's doing good with the Raiders now, but like at the time, people were really chatting it up, and I was like, dude, this isn't gonna happen. Like, I'm not. Yeah. I didn't even want to get excited about it, and of course, it didn't. But yeah, it's almost like being a contrarian investor almost, where like you just go opposite of what everyone else thinks. It's weird, and I think that's Howie. I think Howie likes to be unique. He likes to be not like he doesn't like to be mainstream about anything really, and it's just fucking ridiculous.
And I want to clarify what Marinari's point was. His point was the Eagles have a very supportive fan base that they're crazy for the Eagles. And that I agree with him, where the Eagles are another level above the Sixers and the Flyers. Like, it's Eagles is the number one priority for Philadelphia sports fans.
Yeah, correct.
So I understand that he says if you win here, you're a legend forever. But then I rebutted and I said, hey, if I'm a guy looking to coach the Eagles and I see Doug Peterson got canned after 2 years and only two years after he won the Super Bowl, I don't really love that the job security really isn't there.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, the way that if the team unfolds like you would think it does, how all the reasons you just said, Sirianni could easily just be an offensive coordinator in 3 years somewhere and never get a head coaching job ever again.
He's risking a lot to be the coach.
Right. And he's in a big market. He's got a lot to prove. I mean, I definitely commend him for stepping up, but he's got his hands full.
Yeah, it's tough to bet your future with all those things pointing against you.
I mean, looking at these offensive totals over the time he was the Colts offensive coordinator, it's nothing special. I mean, granted, he did have Jacoby Brissett and, a little bit of Phil Rivers on the back end, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Looks like we got a caller. I think this is Joey Gabagool checking in. Before we unmute Joey, I want you, Deanie, to tell him what you just told me about the quarterbacks coach, because I know he's going to have an opinion on this.
Well, he might already know, but
he might know. Let's ask him.
All right. Let me unmute him real quick. There's some weird thing with Zoom now. You got to ask to unmute the person.
You're on the P's and Q's, Deanie.
I got him. Hold on. I wonder if he can he hear us?
He probably can hear us, but he's still muted.
This would be a good time to say, by the way, this call has been sponsored by Bad Brother. Wait, how was that pizza? What were you thinking about it? Like, would you go back?
Yeah, it was a good ass pizza. Joey can tell you. It
was good pizza. They got some good quality Instagram photos too. They make it look nice.
Can't wait for them to be fully open.
Dude, I don't know why this isn't working. Hold on. Let's see if Gabagool texted me. You think he's on hold?
No, it says it. No, the red mute button is on for him.
Hold on.
I can just have him come up here.
I just texted him. We'll see if he can get in.
All right. Yeah, but just while we wait for Joey Gabagool, a lot's going to happen in the NFL offseason this year. And there's some free agents out there. I do want to say, so everybody, if everybody wants to ask me what the Jets should do, it's DeShaun Watson, number one. Two, I'm a Sam Darnold believer. This is the argument that's really dividing a lot of fans right now on Twitter, is do we stick with Darnold with all that draft capital, or do we draft the guy out of BYU or Justin Fields at number two?
Zach Wilson, he's not. That's ridiculous, don't you think? Darnold's.
Yeah.
Who like you?
I think Darnold.
You got to go Darnold over Wilson. He played at BYU. Like, I don't get it. I personally don't get it. I've said it for a long time. Like, I always thought Darnold's ceiling was like an Andy Dalton, but you've given him no weapons, and he's actually been decent.
Well, we've given him a coach that it's almost he was working against him. He didn't allow him to change the play. I'm a Darnold guy. Don't get me wrong. I want Darnold and I want capital. I want to build around him. So I posed a question to a lot of Jet fans: is if you had to start the Jets tomorrow with a prime Sanchez and a prime Darnold, who are you going to go with? And 9 times out of 10, unless you're Rex Ryan, you're picking Sam Darnold because he has more raw talent. If you surround Sam Darnold with what the Jets surrounded Sanchez with in 2009, 2010, you might go to the Super Bowl. You might beat the Steelers. You might beat the Colts. You might go to the Super Bowl.
You probably do.
I watch Goff. I watch Jimmy G both play in the Super Bowl, and I think both of those guys have equal talent to Sam Darnold. Maybe Sam is even more talented, can make more throws than those two guys.
All right, I think Gabagool. I think we got Gabagool.
All right.
Here we go. Here he is.
How are you guys?
Yo.
Sorry about that, Gabagool. We had a little technical difficulty there.
That's okay. Thanks for letting me on. I basically had to twist Maddie's arm to give me some airtime because I don't have like some vent. So what?
Miggs wants me to tell you the Eagles hired quarterbacks coach from Florida.
Yes, I heard.
Just so coincidentally has known Hurts since Hurts has been 4 years old.
Yeah, so now I couldn't be more confused in my life because
right.
I thought us bringing in Sirianni was a great play to keep Wentz, like a Frank Wright product, right? Bring him in. We're going to revive Wentz back to 2017, and then we go make this play for the QB coach from Florida who knows Hurts. So are we like trying to meet everybody in the middle here, trying to satisfy everybody, or can we like make up our mind? I don't know what the play is. What do you make of it, Deanie?
No, I said pretty much the exact same thing. I think it probably makes it worse. Unless Sirianni is just like knew this guy from before, which I'm going to assume he didn't. Then yeah, it just makes it worse. And it'll like if you told Wentz that, like when this is kind of old news, I think it's a week or two old, but I'm sure when Wentz found that out or saw that tweet, he probably didn't like it too much.
No, when you bring in a new coach.
Yeah, just knowing Wentz's mindset about stuff and how he quote unquote doesn't like to be coached too much. I don't think it makes it better.
No, typically whenever you bring in a new head coach, you give them the reins and they bring in people that they know that they're familiar with, that they work well with. So I have no idea what's going on right now. And I was thrilled with this Sirianni hire. I texted Maddie all about it. I was so happy about it. And then they bring in this QB coach and I'm confused. So I guess I'm just going to have to wait and see like every other Eagle fan. I'm not optimistic, though, if I'm being honest, after that move. I don't know what we're going to do with our quarterbacks moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not optimistic about the team in the next 3 years either. But that could be – I don't know. I could be a little pessimistic there.
It's just a sticky situation, in my opinion. Now, I would have no idea what happens behind closed doors if it wasn't for Hard Knocks. I never really played football, so I watch Hard Knocks and I take in that information, and I see the quarterback coach having individual meetings, or not individual meetings, but just meetings with the quarterbacks. There's the quarterbacks coach and there's the 3 quarterbacks in the room. And if I'm coaching, Carson up, I've never coached him before, but now I'm coaching Hurts. Hey, Jalen, remember when you did this in high school? You did this hitch. I'm Carson Wentz listening to this. I'm like, what the fuck? No, like
exactly.
I'm the man here.
Well,
so it's gonna be weird.
Well said.
What did you say you had a question about, Gabagool? You had or is that all you need to say about the Eagles? I always give you Eagles time.
Any Tomlin rant or no? Are you gonna? That's your second favorite team, so I didn't know if you had anything.
Yeah, I don't want to get you fired up, Lazarati, so I'll withhold the Tomlin rants and the Steelers rants for next time, because I wanted to bring this up because I saw it today as a headline, and I'm thrilled. So I'm sure you guys have been following the Jake Paul, Conor McGregor, Nate Robinson, like everything saga, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, for the listeners that haven't been under a rock or whatever, Jake Paul knocked out Nate Robinson, former basketball player, never had any boxing experience in his life, knocked him out cold, right? So he's riding a high. He thinks he's a professional boxer now, 2-0. Guy's all about clout, all about money. Calling out one of the best fighters on the planet, in history, one would say. Matt, would you not say in history? Conor McGregor, one of the best fighters?
Absolutely.
Okay, one of the best fighters, right? So where does this guy get the balls to call out Conor McGregor? It's just a different set of skills. Well, I saw today that he's fighting Ben Askren, right? So for those of you who don't know Ben Askren, he was the guy that got knocked out in 5 seconds by Jorge Masvidal. Like completely embarrassed. I don't want to take any credit away from Masvidal, but it was kind of a lucky shot. Caught him with a huge knee, knocked him out cold. So Jake Paul's talking all this shit like he's going to knock him out in 5 seconds and stuff like this. But I don't think he understands the talent difference from a guy who's fought in the ring twice compared to a guy who's been doing it his entire life. So let me paint you a situation. Deanie, put yourself in a athlete mindset like you are, right? You're a JUCO linebacker. You're a JUCO linebacker.
Yeah.
Big title game. You make a goal line stop as time expires. You stuff the running back right in the A gap, right?
Yeah.
You're on cloud nine. Everybody, the whole school, the 500 to 1,000 people at the school, they love you. You're like, I can go league now. Well, you got Ben Askren here, who's not the most famous fighter, but he's still a very talented fighter.
Right.
19-2 in his career, I may add. So that's like Baldini, the JUCO linebacker that you are, saying, oh, I can stop Jonathan Taylor right at the 1 yard line. I'm going to stuff him in the A gap.
Yeah.
So you try to walk onto the Colts roster. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, he's going to get fucking blown over.
You're going to get trucked.
So I think the thing with Jake Paul is that I think he has enough like training not to beat McGregor or anything, but he could defend himself from getting killed. I think McGregor would still beat him and knock him out, but I think Jake Paul would at least get the payday, and he's probably just all in it for the promo anyway, like most of these people are. I don't like him, obviously, but like I think he has enough fundamental training because he just fought. Obviously, he's just been training for however many months, but I feel like he has enough to just get the payday and not get fucking killed in the ring, and then he'd be happy with that.
I strongly disagree. Did you watch the Nate Robinson fight? I'm just curious.
I did not. No,
I did not either. I saw bits and pieces.
But like, what's the worst?
Okay.
Like, he could get knocked out from Askren, but like, that's the worst thing that could happen for him, and then he still makes all that money, right? Like, I'm trying to think of why he would want to do this so badly.
Because he may have taken one too many punches in the head in training. But yeah, I guess. Would you take a sucker punch from a mixed martial arts fighter right to the jaw for 20 mil?
I think a lot of people would.
I'm asking you.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Although I'd probably strongly consider it. I don't know. That's a lot of money, right?
For how much?
$20 million.
I'll take a shin bone to the cheek.
Absolutely. I would do it for $10,000.
But you don't know, like, you will never know if you'll have head damage for the rest of your life, Laz.
Oh, then no. Hell no.
His ex-girlfriend, what is it, Julia Rose? She might be feeding him through like a straw for the rest of his life. Like,
right.
So I was reading an ESPN article, and
it's bad.
So the ESPN article that I was reading basically said Askren came out and said he's happy he's fighting Jake Paul because obviously it's a nice payday, but he doesn't understand what he's getting himself into, and he'll learn real soon. So that's all I wanted to call about. I'm really looking forward to this because I can't stand cockiness and people who think they're all that. He's obviously in it for the clout. It's like a big business promotion kind of thing. I get it.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But totally people need to be checked. So obviously I'm going to tune in. Yeah.
But Gaba, I want to put my 2 cents in here. The guy is delusional, like you said. I want to say it again. The dude beat Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson is nothing against him, but he's 5'7", and he never boxed before in his life, other than his cousin during the holidays. So Jake
wasn't
Paul,
even a good basketball player, really. I mean,
he was solid. He was
okay.
You're right. He's not a boxer. Now you're about to fight a guy that's dedicated his whole life to the craft. I get it. The one thing is that he's fighting a UFC fighter in a boxing ring. If it was another story, I love how, the Mayweathers and the Jake Pauls, they like to call out all these UFC fighters who we've said on the record are wired differently. For you to go into a ring, it's barbaric what these guys are doing, just with those tiny gloves and kicks and choking people out. They make them box, but Askren I feel like is going to kill him unless there's some kind of deal under the table.
I would hope
I'm a conspiracy guy. Jake Paul is probably worth double what Askren's worth. Hey, Ben, if you fall in the first round, I'll give you 10 mil. I don't know. Is that crazy to say? That would suck.
When is
no,
this
that's not
fight?
Crazy to say. I hope it doesn't happen. April 17th.
Okay.
So
that's the only
I will
option.
absolutely be tuning in.
I mean,
That's an awesome time of year too. So that's going to be something about those spring nights with all the golf and March Madness just ending. That's a fucking great date.
To be honest, I might not even buy it. It's not worth my time because I really think that
I would agree with Gabagool. There's a lot of things I don't like about this guy. I think he's incredibly cocky. He's irrational to even think he could beat Askren, but I think he's just doing it to get paid, really. I mean, I think he's going for clout. I mean, hopefully I'll see him get his head knocked off, but, I think he'll be fine, most likely. He just wants the money. He's talking all this shit.
I think you're 100% right.
I think he's just
and
trying
like
to
Matt said, like Maddie said, these guys are wired different. So, like I said, Askren is 19-2. He's only been knocked out once. That was by Masvidal with the flying knee that would have killed freaking Shaquille O'Neal if it caught him in the jaw. This guy has been making a living, another 20 bouts with taking shots to the face. I think he can handle a subpar wannabe boxer. So that's all I wanted to call about because I can't stand this guy, and I really hope he gets his teeth knocked in.
Wait, one more
a little
question.
bit of a reality check.
What kind of fight is it? Is it a
boxing? It's boxing. He would never go into UFC because there's no rules.
I'm curious.
That's like the same thing with McGregor Mayweather. Can you imagine if Mayweather said, I'm going to fight McGregor in a UFC match? McGregor would run at him at 100 miles an hour like Masvidal did and fly at him with a knee because he's never had to ever deflect something like that. It's like the question the question they asked McGregor before the Mayweather fight. We know Mayweather won, but he said, what makes you think you could take a punch to the face from Mayweather? McGregor says, I say this all the time, you ever have a shin bone bounce off your cheekbone? Because that's what I've been through. Masvidal took a knee to the cheekbone. And I think it was kind of a lucky thing because he kind of bent down. He almost leaned into the knee. But I'm going to I wonder what the betting odds will be. That's a good question. Because
there could be something right now, preemptively.
If it's, if it's Askren to win minus 400, I'd probably still do it.
I'll look it up right now, but I mean, let's see if they even have it.
I'll check my sites.
Sports betting, Don.
What is this under? UFC? No, what would this be under?
I think it would be under boxing. Well, with that being said, too, going back to the Nate Robinson
Jake Paul's favored.
That's a joke.
That can't be.
That's what it says here. Covers.com.
Yeah, I'm on it too.
Jake Paul minus 225. I don't know.
He's 2-0.
All right, boys, get your bets in right now. all the fourth and long community, get your bets in. Free money right here.
We're about to be the next GameStop Reddit guys.
Yeah, for real. Well, that being said, if you meet Nate Robinson in the street, right? Jake Paul meets Nate Robinson in the streets. I'm taking Nate Robinson 9 times out of 10. That little guy's probably scrappy. No holds barred. I ain't messing with him.
Yeah, maybe. I think I would agree with you there, Gabagool.
Yeah, no
Like-
gloves. Like, let me just freaking jump
No
on him.
gloves is a whole different game.
I agree. Scrap.
Little
the
bare
little bit.
knuckle. Exactly.
I saw Nate
J.P. Paul
Robinson-
grew up in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, I saw Nate Robinson take out JR in that Nuggets brawl. Remember that? When, you know, Nate was like 7 inches shorter than JR. He took him into the first row, you know. There was no technique. You remember that? Do you guys remember that brawl?
Nah.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm, hearing,
Was
I'm
this
hearing crickets.
when JR was on
This-
the Knicks?
Yeah, this was prime time JR and Melo on the Knicks. And no, sorry, timeout. They were on the Nuggets. Melo and JR were on the Nuggets. JR was going for a layup. Jared Jeffries choke slammed him as he was going up for a layup. JR pushed Jeffries, and then here comes Nate out of a cannon, spearing JR into the first row of the stands. Carmelo, oh my God, the punch that Melo landed, I forget who he hit, but you could hear it. And this is when there was fans. You could hear the punch he landed, and the guy was shook out of his boots. Please, Gabagool, at the end of your call, look up JR Nate Robinson brawl. It's one of the best NBA fights I've ever seen.
So I
Did we
think
just come up with a underground NBA boxing league? Are we starting this?
If
Good
we get
money in
Portnoy
that,
to,
I'm sure.
if we get Portnoy to
I
sponsor
want the
it,
Morris brothers.
Oh, I would take that. Russell Westbrook, pound for pound, anybody? I would take him. Guys are psycho.
I just want to say Askren comes from a wrestling background, so that I think that's why the odds might be a little shifted. I don't know.
He also has 6 knockouts in his career, too, so he definitely has some boxing. He's a mixed martial art fighter. Very experienced. So I think Jake Paul bit off a little bit more than he could chew. I'll leave it at that, fellas. I didn't want to sidetrack you too much, but I really, really don't like this guy. I would love to fight him myself. So I really hope Askren would take him out for me. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for the call, guys.
Joey, thanks
no
again.
problem.
See you, Joey.
Joey had some good Instagram posts for us today. Did you?
Oh, I thought that was you trying to play with my emotions.
No, that was Joe.
I did like that.
Yeah, I mean, anything with Chad Ochocinco, you know we're gonna love it. We love Ocho. I saw a picture today of Ochocinco, and it was like him at the Pro Bowl, but there was pickup basketball being played, and Revis was covering him, and I thought it was the coolest picture.
Dude, I think for some reason it's funny you say that because I've been seeing a lot of old school Pro Bowl shit pop up on my feed. The old school Pro Bowls, watching what those guys wore and just seeing how they interacted
All the drip they had
were
on.
so much cooler than they are now. Now they're just scripted and they basically get told what to do and they're all like petting each other, being friends. But back
Dodgeball
then,
tournaments. Yeah.
they were doing awesome shit. And they, these throwing competitions and I don't know, it just looked a lot cooler. I don't know. I think the league gotten worse. I think the league used to be in a much better place with some of those the Ocho Cincos of the world. But now everybody just wants their money.
You don't get a guy like Ocho Cinco anymore.
No.
And if you do, they try to cover up like him like causing shit or causing trouble,
Exactly.
Like there would never be a guy like Ocho Cinco probably ever again, just because the media hates that. Like a diva wide receiver. Like apparently Michael Thomas, there's a lot of shit, like bad shit coming out about him, but it's kind of like muted because like people don't want you to know about it.
Michael Thomas, and he had problems at Ohio State. Or was it? No, wait.
Yeah, he went to Ohio State.
Ohio State? Okay. He had problems at Ohio State too. That kind of got swept under the rug. And then it was fun. Not that it was we're not going to get into the conspiracy and all that shit, but when Drew Brees said that he believes we should be standing for a national anthem, Michael Thomas said, "Fuck you, motherfucker." Like on social media to your quarterback? Like, what?
Yeah, call him on the phone.
Exactly. It shows you how you really, really feel about him when you're saying it on Twitter. Because he also knew that everyone would back his message, so then it, whatever. It's just Michael Thomas is a little bit of a hothead, but I like guys like I love Terrell Owens. I liked him.
Yeah, I mean, that's
They were harmless, you know. They were harmless because you know at the end of the day, I loved about Terrell Owens and Chad Ochocinco, and there's probably a lot more that I'm not thinking about in the early 2000s. Is those guys wanted to win. That's what they really cared about. They were getting their money.
But they were also they had the personality. You know, they were characters on the sideline.
Agreed.
The one guy that comes to my mind is actually, and this will be a good segue into our Super Bowl talk, or we might say this until next week. But Tyreek Hill, I don't know if you know, like, ever see his videos. He's a YouTuber guy. He's funny.
Yeah, he is.
He's a top 3 receiver. I love watching him, like, after he, like, scores a touchdown or goes to the sidelines, and just his facial expressions and how he interacts with his teammates. It just cracks me up. It really does.
Yeah, I like Tyreek. That's an underrated one too, because people don't know that about him. He's funny on social media. He comments a lot on like a lot of NFL's posts and stuff. He's cheetah.
He's a cheetah. Some of these guys are even better now that they're out of the league too. Like Ocho Cinco is still a great follow on social media. Like Gilbert Arenas, I don't know if you guys follow him or not.
No.
He comments all the time, and he just like says it like it is. He's so real with it.
Which is great.
Some of these guys are even funnier now that they're out of the league because now they can just do whatever they want.
Well, that's like Richard Jefferson in the NBA. I like Richard Jefferson, but he needs to stay away from like ESPN and like I like when he would be on Part of My Take a lot, and he would tweet just funny shit. But I think now he's starting to make ESPN appearances, so it has to be like more whatever. But
that's a good example too. The best example is the podcast between Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson.
Yeah. On what is
that
it called? Unguarded?
Maybe. That's a great listen. And they'll get players that are currently in the NBA.
Dude, remember when they got Rondo?
That's one of the best interviews I've heard probably.
Really? Is it worth listening to tomorrow on my drive to work?
Just look up the Instagram clip about it. It's fucking hilarious.
Okay, I gotta watch it.
Because Rondo really is kind of that old school type of player. Like he's not really this era of basketball, but he's still hanging around in the league. And you could just tell, like, I mean, you could even see it in his play style. Like he never took any shit. And, he's not like he was a tough guy. Like I'm sure KG kind of rubbed off on him from the Celtics.
Yeah.
It's a good interview.
All right, I'm going to check it out tomorrow
Definitely,
morning.
Especially when he mentions Ben Simmons. That's my favorite part.
What does he say about Ben Simmons?
He mentions they were talking about how Ben Simmons should have a different attitude when it comes to shooting. And
he has started shooting one here and there, even though they're not going in. I don't know if that's a little bit of growth. I don't know.
But yeah, Rondo said something like, I'm going to jack up as many shots as I want, watching Ben Simmons not being able to shoot at all. Or I don't know it was pretty funny. You'll have to see it.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta tune in. What do we got? Let's touch on the NFC Championship. I thought the AFC Championship was not all that interesting in the sense that Buffalo, they got the ball first. They got their 3 points. Kansas City punted, didn't do anything. Kansas City fumbled the punt. Buffalo scores, and then Kansas City they go from 0 to 100, and they're blowing you out, even though they were down 9-0. So that game wasn't all that entertaining. But I thought the NFC Championship was interesting, really interesting. And if you just fast forward to the end of the game, the way that game was called by the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, I don't understand it. I don't. It's not being talked about. Like Stephen A. did his thing, and ESPN it reminds me a lot of the Steelers, just watching that decision. And sometimes that decision works, right? Because you go, okay, you cut it to – because remember, they had to score a touchdown, and they have to get a 2-point conversion, and then Brady would still have 2 minutes to just get 3 points to win the game. But on the flip side, you're kicking the ball, taking your 3, taking it out of Rodgers' hands, And now you're saying you're going to stop the greatest of all time from getting 10 yards in 3 plays?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't even think the analytics would help you in that favor. Like, where is that coming from?
It was analytics. That's the thing. There was probably – it's a problem where you have to find a balance. LaFleur has been coaching great, I think, all year. McVay had a good coaching year again. These guys are new era coaches that rely on a certain percentage of their game plan on numbers. And that's why some of them are successful. But when it comes to a game like that, I agree with you, Laz. You have to take the numbers out of the book, and you got to look at the quarterbacks. You got to say Aaron Rodgers, probably the most skilled quarterback in the National Football League. I'm going to give him a chance to do it. They even said that Rodgers, instead of running that ball on 3rd down, because, they changed the angle, like, oh, could he have gone in if he scampered to the right? It looks like it from our angle, but if you do it behind him, the guy was right there. So I don't think he would have gone in. But yeah, I think Rodgers threw that ball thinking it was 4-down territory. I think he threw that ball thinking he had another down left.
I agree.
I agree with that.
But, at the same time, if
I also think if you have 4th down with Rodgers, you got to put the game in Rodgers' hands.
Period.
Agree.
I mean,
agree. No
it
doubt.
just it was
now,
hard.
Now, did the analytics say Brady just threw his 3rd interception a couple of possessions ago in one half? Or not maybe one half. The whole game he threw 3 interceptions. Did the analytics say we can get that stop? Maybe. But like Lazzarotti said, this guy he's made how many Super Bowls? It's like he's made 18% of all Super Bowls ever. You don't give him a chance to get 10 yards.
This is his 11th. This is an 11th fucking Super Bowl. And you're just not. And with the way that Tampa Bay was playing, they were going to go for it on 4th. Like they were doing all that. And now let's fast forward. So 3rd down, Brady drops back, throws it. There has not been one pass interference call all game.
Dude. You could see it coming.
Well, before you say, no, it was a pass interference, Migden. It was a pass interference. But they haven't called one all game, and shit, that was late. And did it really affect his ability to catch it all that much?
All game, they didn't call that shit.
Do you agree with me, you're saying?
It's so textbook. I've been watching him torment my fucking life, my entire life as a Jet fan. It's textbook Tom Brady's going to get the call when he needs to get the call. Textbook.
I literally said out loud, I was sitting on my coffee table at the edge of the seat, and I saw that throw, and I literally just said, oh my God, the NFL is still fixed. Like, that was my first thought because – and maybe that's way too far. But how late that call was.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there were no flags anywhere. And then all of a sudden – I mean, it had to be more than 5 seconds after that play was over, which is a long freaking time when you when you count out 5 seconds and your head's going a million miles a minute.
You can't say that the greatest players in the NFL don't get the calls that they want or the refs aren't a little more generous towards them. It's just so clear and evident that that's true.
But it's even more evident that they want Brady because, we're talking about the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Well, Rodgers is right there. But they gave it they weren't calling shit all game. How about Devontae Adams? Like 3 plays earlier in the end zone where he got his jersey grabbed.
Right. Yeah.
No call. Same shit. Grabbed the jersey. Didn't really affect the play all that much. So, okay, I was fine with the no call there, but let's be consistent. And they were consistent for 58 and a half minutes because that was thrown with 1:36 left, I think. And then on a 3rd down, because we know what would have happened. Rodgers probably would have gotten the ball and remember, they'd be down 5. They were down 5. So they get the ball. They had 1:30 with a timeout. You got to like their odds.
And I know the Chiefs are obviously way better, but better than the Bills. But imagine if the Bills had to go to the Super Bowl and face Brady. What a storyline that would have been. And then imagine Brady just terrorizes them all over again. And then you're like, what the fuck?
Buffalo's going to be good for I texted a Chiefs fan. Buffalo, Kansas City is probably, I think, going to be the AFC Championship 3 out of the next 5 years.
Not just get Watson. But let's not talk about that.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
But, Laz, you always say don't count out the Pats. But what you need to say is don't count out Brady. That's what you should have changed it to.
Lazarati, Mark, Matt, they think the Patriots still have a chance to play next week. You ask them
well,
I love that.
Look. The New England will figure something out next year. Cam Newton destroys.
Here it is. There it is.
I believe it. Cam Newton destroys offenses, and he's so bad. I mean, he is so bad. And also, look at how many injuries New England had, and look at how many guys opted out before the season. So they have a lot of talent coming back.
He won't be the quarterback.
He won't be the quarterback.
It'll be your boy Mac Jones, like you raved about, or it's going to be Stafford. It's going to be one of those two guys somehow.
Oh my God! If they have Stafford, they're 11-5 right now. Dude, their defense was phenomenal all year. Their defense is great.
I love the pro Pats talk by Laz.
You know what it is?
He loves.
Nathan, you know what it is? Because I don't love them. I have had to watch the Steelers. I said it in college. The Roonies are their owners, but the Patriots are their they're your daddy. Okay, call like when they used to say to Pedro, call me daddy or whatever the fuck it was.
Oh, who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy?
Pedro Martinez.
Yeah, that's what New England is to us. I mean, Big Ben's beaten them once in his 18 years. Like, it's that bad. So oh my God.
All right. Well, back to this Packers game. There was only two penalties against the Buccaneers, and both of them were not accepted by the Green Bay Packers. So essentially, there was no penalties.
Right.
They didn't matter. So for the first time in 37 years, the Buccaneers did not have any accepted penalties against them. So I just think that speaks volumes. That's like, last year when LeBron would get his whole career, he was averaging 8 trips to the line a game. And then like that one outlier year where he was averaging 3 and the Lakers put a formal complaint in. It's like it was so late, Laz, I was waiting for it because I knew it was coming. It was textbook.
Oh, me too. I knew, and you know what? And you know what the common denominator of it was? We knew it was coming because of one person.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's it. If he's not on that team, that flag ain't coming. And let's remember, this fucking game was in Green Bay with fans there. Not a lot, but it
sounded loud enough.
Usually, I agree. But usually in that type of situation, I think you guys will both agree, especially with the flow of that game, well, at home, you ain't calling that. You just ain't calling it. It's not. It never happens.
You know what I think about when I saw that, and it was a play that was not called all game. Like, yeah, you could have called that pass interference in the beginning of the game, set the tone, but that little hold, the jersey pull, quick rub-offs were not being called. But you know what I think about? The Brady pull, and then think about Drew Brees and how his receiver got blown the fuck up a couple of years ago. They didn't throw a late flag there,
right,
did they?
Yeah, the infamous Vikings Saints the game.
I don't know if it was the Rams. I thought
I think you're right. Sorry, that was different.
I'm talking about when the guy was clearly
he just got fucking blown up by the end zone, the corner of the end zone.
Blown up.
Yeah.
Breeze is not getting that pull. Brady somehow does. Oh man, Laz, I can't stomach him winning another one. I couldn't do it.
I can't either.
I can't do it.
I don't think they do. Do you?
Yeah, I don't even want to bet on the Super Bowl. I was going to say that earlier.
I'm so scared to bet.
I'm scared to bet on the Super Bowl.
I will bet more money on the fucking coin toss than I probably will in the game, which is so sad. And you know what I'll bet on? Because this is an all-time Migs favorite. He's been doing it for probably the 6 years I've known him. And I think I did it the past 3. The over-under the national anthem. That shit, you start Googling, how long did Luke Bryan do his last right? It is the most fun bet you could ever make.
Oh, dude.
And you're oh my God.
I looked it up. I looked it up 4 days ago. I thought I saw it was like Eric Church, but it was Eric Church. He's a country guy. And then I saw it might be like a dual one. I don't know. I gotta.
That's gonna throw things off.
Yeah, so now I gotta do research on two singers. It's not Gladys Knight. It's not Gladys Knight with the big pipes here. It's Eric Church, who I don't really listen to. It's gonna be a tough call. I mean, I usually like to go under, but we'll see what happens. I love that bet, Laz.
Oh, it's such a great bet. But I'll probably throw a bunch of prop bets out there. Like I could see myself doing it.
I think that's where a lot of like rational bettors, not saying we are, but me and you, Laz, we already just said we don't want to bet on the game. So like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of prop action this year.
Totally. Especially with how many names are in the game, like how many big time names.
Yeah.
I would say the Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are probably on paper, they have the most names. So so they're gonna have so many individual prop bets that people are gonna be enticed to bet on because they have such a strong belief on so many of these players. Like you're gonna see, Tyreek Hill. There's gonna be. First of all, is the game on CBS? I think it is.
I'll fact check it for you.
I think Romo and I can't and maybe not, but it'll be like how many times does Joe Buck or if it's CBS, Jim Nantz say this and those types of bets. But then you can also bet on, Brady's over under on completions or yards. Or there's so much.
Yeah,
shit to bet on.
It will be on CBS.
Okay, yeah. So Jim Nantz, how many times will he mention? Or how many times will Romo mention?
It'll be like how many times do they pan over to Giselle or something like that?
Yes. Or how many times do they mention New England? Or how many times? Because that'll be a couple times.
First song in the weekend's halftime performance.
And if you think about it, this is probably the first year that in multiple states sports betting is really ramping up.
Yeah.
So I would just throw as many fucking props as you can into the machine and just make as much money as you can.
Yeah. You're they're going to win no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's going to be I think it's going to be a really entertaining season. Last year was like a great Super Bowl. I think this year is more enticing. And the reason I think that, and we can talk a little bit about it, but I think Tampa Bay, with what their defense has done the past couple of weeks and the speed that they play at, I think this Super Bowl is going to be – you take the under because I think it's going to be a lot more low scoring than people think.
No, I agree. I disagree.
What?
I think it's going to be like –
what is the over?
It's going to be I think it's going to be a shootout. I'm one of those guys that thinks – I think whoever gets the ball first is going to score. So, like, if a prop bet that comes to mind is, like, Antonio Brown first touchdown.
What's your guess on the Super Bowl or on the over-under? What's your guess on the over-under this game? I'll tell you what it is once I find it.
48 and a half, I'm going to guess.
I'll guess 58 and a half.
It's 56 and a half.
Holy shit, really?
So basically that's each team scoring 28, right? 28-28 would be 56.
That's a tough one. I might still take the over. Dude, the Chiefs are crazy good offense.
No, I know.
I mean, they have legit like Olympian athletes on their team, and Travis Kelce.
No, you're not kidding.
Merkley, Hardman, and Tyreek Hill are like probably the two fastest guys in the NFL. Sammy Watkins.
Who? What'd you say? Who's the first guy?
Michael Hardman.
McCall.
Well, I think he said Merkley Hardman.
He said Merkley.
It's McCall Hardman. That is just so bad. Oh,
Algador, Merkley, Hardman.
Krikowski.
Oh, dude.
Oh, by the way, Duke
doghouse
sucks this year.
Thanks.
Duke is so bad.
And wait. Let's talk about St. Joe's. They're so bad.
God. All right, watch this. Let's go through there. First of all, you know what's laughable is who's our AD, whatever her name is, and I actually like her. What was she thinking when booking these non-conference games?
Well, it's just, I would just assume like exposure, whatever. We try to get.
Because they're not getting paid.
Tough. We played them tough.
We did. That first game of the year, we played them very tough. But you kind of just start to wonder, well, were they not in real shape?
I'll tell you,
did they not care?
The season flopped in the first game of the year where we had Auburn. We were beating them by about 4. with a minute and a half left, and then it went to overtime and we lost. Then the next game we played Kansas, where we lost by 22 points, but we were only down 8 at the half, and we were actually leading late in the first half. Okay? So that was our first 2 games. Then Nova gets canceled. We lose to Drexel. Then we lose to Nova by 20. We lose to Tennessee in a bloodbath by almost 40. We lose to VCU by 16. Let's go to January. We lose to Rhode Island by 8. We lose to St. Bonaventure by 26. We beat Albany. That's our one win. It's horrible. And we came back and pulled that one out.
Favored by 10 points going in.
Patriot
Wow.
League.
Love that. We lost to Davidson by 14, lost to LaSalle by 7, George Mason in double OT, George Mason again by 9, Richmond by 23. Like, they're 1-13. Guess what Billy Lang's record is? And I have nothing against him at all. But guess what it is in his first 2 years? Just take a wild guess.
I think he only has like 5 wins, right?
So let's say all right, so it's a total of 46 games.
All right. So maybe they booked a couple easy ones.
Remember, they've won 1 game this year. This is a
10 and
laughable
36.
record.
10 and 36.
I think he's won 7 games.
So you're saying 7 and 39. You're on the money. That's pretty impressive. 7 and 39.
Because I knew they I think they were 6 and 26 last year.
You nailed
Okay,
it. Yeah,
I
you
got it?
I can see the reflective the standings in his blue light glasses.
Yeah, okay. Get the fuck out of here.
That
That was a wild guess.
But like, okay, so they're 7 and 39 in 2 years. Well, let's keep on going. They play Duquesne, they're going to be 7 and 40. Then they play they're going to lose out. St. Bonaventure 7 and 41. They're going to. There's no point in going through this. They're going to lose every game. Maybe
They might be Fordham. They might be.
They might finish 7. He might go his first 2 seasons at 7 and 50, guys. That's a 14% winning percentage. That is hysterical.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what happened.
Well,
I don't know what happened. I
don't know. We're in a tough
I watched
spot.
those first 2 games. We had a lot of talent. I thought he recruited well. I thought he got some good transfers. I watched only like the first 3 games, and then you don't get every game on TV. And those transfers I saw were like pretty good. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Would I be surprised if we made a little run in the A-10 tournament? That would be sick, but probably not.
I mean, Daly's still putting up points, but I guess we're just not.
The old St. Joe's teams that made runs in the A-10 tournament when they sucked, they won games. They won a couple games in the regular season. This team, they've been in a lot of close games, and they can't find ways to win. But you're still right, Migs. I can see them winning a game or 2. Like, a game to me would be considered a run. If they win their first game, you're going to go, okay, they're on a run. But where are they going? Nowhere. I mean, they're really bad.
I'm gonna text my source and see what's going on, because I remember when what's his name was on his way out, Martelli.
I know who your source is, but I won't say it on the air.
Yeah, let me get my.
You graduated with us.
Yeah.
He's a source on Martelli for what?
Whatever.
Is my
like why he left? Why he
Dude,
left?
Martelli might be cutting down the fucking nets this year.
He's not the head coach, though.
No, I know, but still, that's a big time role at Michigan.
Nah, yeah. Wait. No, just say this. Your source knows why he left, or like why he got fired?
No, do you remember when we did the show when we were shitting on Martelli?
Yes.
And we were battling with, the old school at St. Joe's fans like your dad. And
yeah.
We talked about his exit. And I gave the details of the exit.
Okay. Well, tell me once we're done recording.
All right, good.
Oh, wait, but you said this already, right?
Yeah, I mean, I said it. It was about it was a long time ago, but it was like Martelli said no. Like, they asked him to retire, and he said, no, I'm not quitting on my guys. And then they were like, fuck it, we're firing you then. So that's like they asked him to leave. He said no. And then, like, there was a really early meeting with the players. He told them that there was fire. There was like a lot of tears, and I don't know. It wasn't a clean break.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
So you're saying they did it completely wrong, right?
No, I think they did it. Me and you, Laz, said, I don't know. I remember me and Laz were on one side.
I agreed with it. I thought they handled it right.
I think they handled it the only way they could have. He was just being a stubborn jerk, and he wouldn't leave, like, peacefully. You know, hey, Can you retire? We want to part ways.
No, it almost. I don't want to get, but it's almost like what Trump did, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's kind of similar. So, yeah, I don't think he handled it well. Like. But then he gets this big time. He gets Michigan. Martelli. Let's just say this: with the improvement that Michigan was great last year, but if they win the national championship this year, as old as he is, he could get a head coaching job somewhere.
Probably.
You could be right. Maybe like low level D1.
He's not as old as we think. Krzyzewski's older. So,
yeah, well, Krzyzewski puts shoe polish in his hair, so he doesn't look as old as Martelli.
I know, but Martelli looks terrible.
And I love Coach K, but he dyes his hair, if anyone didn't know.
No,
dude, Coach K, I had a poster of
him. I don't like Coach K.
I love Coach K.
I'm
just saying he could be gray right now, but he chooses not to be, and I respect it.
Dude, he takes, like, shoelaces and sticks them in his head to, like, make it look thicker. It looks terrible, too. But also, the thing I don't like, did you see what he did the other day to that student?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
Come on, dude. Your team sucks for 1 year, and now you're going to, like bash a little 18-year-old reporter that is probably, just trying to get up and coming? That was BS.
It was a very fair question. It was an extremely –
Wait, what did he say? I didn't even see it.
The guy literally – go ahead. Go.
You got it.
It was after the game. That, these interviews after the game, they're not in person. It's over Zoom. So it's like us right now. And a student at Duke asked, with the loss of this game and with, the way the season's going, Migden, correct me if I'm wrong, but something along the lines of the way the season's going, how do you plan to ride the ship and, rebound from this loss? It was that informal. It was pointed. It wasn't
right.
It was just such a normal question. And
it was literally a question you hear after every bad loss that a team goes through. This question is going to be heard is, where do you go from here, coach? What's the next step?
It was such a fair –
innocent.
Yes. And remember, it's a fucking student. And he said something that was rude. And then he goes, what's your major? What's your major? Because he was quiet. He goes, what's your major? He asked it like 2 or 3 times.
Nah, really? Shit.
Yeah. And then he said, whatever his major was, he goes, if you just came out of a hard exam, and I thought his analogy made sense, right? Anybody can make that analogy. It's not, but if you just came out of a hard exam, how would you feel if somebody in the hallway said, like, how do you prepare, like, because you knew you feel, whatever it was. Like, it's like, dude, you're the head coach of fucking Duke basketball. You've been there for 40 years. I'm an 18-year-old kid asking you how you're going to rebound because you're having a shitty season and you just lost to a shitty team. Answer the question and don't come ask me my major 3 times and then compare it to me coming out of economics exam at Duke University.
Right.
Where, by the way, you wouldn't know how hard any economics exams at Duke University are because all your players, you probably pay somebody to take the test for them. That's what I would fucking say. Sorry, I was a rant, but I was pissed watching that because I'm like, handle this like a 70-year-old mature man that you are. Don't come after an 18-year-old kid.
Can you imagine he came back and said that? Hey, coach, you got any mentors for me to take my exam for me? Oh, man, Laz, that's good. That's good.
And you know what would have happened, though? He
probably would have gotten fucking expelled.
Yeah, and then Barstool Sports would have said, yeah, you're going to have your own podcast for like $1 million.
Yeah, you're with us.
He probably just caught Coach K in like a bad mood or he was grumpy. Dude, Calipari, I was watching him a little last night because they were playing Bama. He was fucking tearing into his players, man.
Really?
Coach Cal is irritable right now, man.
Wait, let's go back quickly to Coach K because I want to say, like, this guy I've been idolizing my whole life. I think he is one of the best coaches ever. But the last 3 years, man, I just can't get behind. I'm a Duke fan, and I can't support them right now.
Because of Coach K?
Well, this is the first time them and UNC are unranked in like forever.
I can't even. I mean,
I don't know. It was kind of like leading up to this interview. that the interview was like almost the icing on the cake for me. A lot of different factors, but it all starts with the philosophy of what he turned to. You know, the one and done philosophy. I'm going to recruit the top guys rather than try to develop their game over a 3 to 4 year span.
Yeah.
When he went that route, it's not working. You had number 1, number 2, and the number 3 recruit. That's unheard of going to the same college, and you couldn't get to the Elite 8. So what makes you think you're going to win a national championship if you can't win the best 3 recruits ever in that type of system? That's 1. 2, the way he's handled the COVID situation where he was an advocate for – or he was advocating for playing. He wanted to play. And then his team started to lose. He didn't have the roster he usually has, and now he's like, why are we playing?
I saw that. I did see that part.
And now the third thing, when this kid just asked a very innocent question, and Lazzarotti said, he used the analogy, you know, what's your major? What's your major? Oh, it's this. What do you think after you take a hard-ass test against one of the hardest tests you ever had? And I'm thinking to myself, you just lost to an unranked Louisville, all right? You're not playing the number 1 team in the country, Coach K. You took a pop quiz that you were kind of prepared for, and you failed it. So don't even use that analogy. I think he needs to change and go back to the old way of Duke. Why Duke was such a hot spot to root for.
Right.
You know, these 4-year guys that come in. Greg Pauls comes in as a freshman. He looks like he's terrible, and we watch him grow over 4 years.
Nothing
JJ.
will ever beat that 2010 team. Singler, Shire.
Nolan Smith.
What was the big guy's name?
Plumlee? Oh.
Zubak?
Zubak.
Dude,
I saw
that
Zubak
team
at
was-
Morgan's Pier once.
That team was the best. I love that team.
You know, Zubak's he's a big time real estate guy on the East Coast.
Zubak?
Yeah, based out
Really?
of Philadelphia. He was my coworker's landlord. So
Zubak was?
Yes, Brian Zubak.
I'm gonna look him up on LinkedIn. Maybe he has a profile.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt about it. This is a guy. He's 7 feet tall, and he's
Sound like
crushing the real
Collinsworth.
estate game.
This is a guy.
But I saw him at Morgan's Pier once. I mean, you can't miss him. He's 7'2".
I think you put him on your story, didn't you?
I don't think I put him on my story.
No, that was
Was that Embiid?
that was
Oh.
Gesicki and the other guy, right? Who is that?
Hackenberg.
Who is that?
Hackenberg.
Is it Hemingway's? It's called.
Danny, you were there. You
I
were
know.
with me.
No, I was saying I was there when you put him on the story.
Oh man,
Hackenberg and Gesicki. That was right. We
Uh,
saw them.
I was so drunk that day. I went up to Hackenberg. I go, yo, Christian, I want to say one thing to you. He's like, yeah. I'm like, the Jets ruined you, dude. Keep your head up.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a terrible organization.
What do you say?
He looked at me like I was nuts.
He knew. He probably knew deep down inside that butt chin ruined his career. Not the Jets. Billy O.
Dude, Bill O'Brien, terrible.
Terrible.
Calipari though is
I know. Say it.
he's always losing his mind like at this time. But then he somehow
nuts. Whenever he inherits a bad team, you see his true colors come out.
Yeah, he loves
But
to
he
shit
is,
on his
like,
team,
look,
too.
he's a fiery coach. I get it, but I just find him so funny. Like his personality, he's a character. I mean, he's a chubby Italian guy that wears suits, and he's a basketball coach. You know?
Then he sticks his head in a can of grease. That's what he does. Hey,
Yeah,
I
he's another
respect.
guy with
You know
good
who
hair.
the greatest coach in college basketball, and it's just not even close. I mean, he's got the perfect system every year.
If you say Jay Wright, I'm going to end the call.
Oh, okay. Interesting thought. Deanie, who do you think I'm going to say?
I think it's
I
Coach
really-
K.
No, he's going to say either he's going to say Jay Wright.
It's Jay Wright. It's Jay Wright.
you got to be kidding.
How is it not Jay Wright? He gets 3 and 4-star recruits every year. I mean, Colin Gillespie is like he's like the best guard in the country some nights. They buy into his system.
I knew that was
They're
coming.
always
I
ranked
knew
in
it
the
was
top 5.
coming. I was hoping you'd say Coach K, but I guess not.
But I think it
He
has
said
to be.
Izzo or something. Hey, I get the track record, but he's just a jerk in my opinion. I
agree.
won't get it.
I've actually heard a lot of bad things about him too.
Who? Jay Wright?
Deanie, you know what?
Yeah, I've heard he's a jerk.
Jay Wright? Really?
Mhm.
What were you going to
think
say,
so.
Megan?
No, I was going to change the topic because
besides Popovich, like Coach K is just right there. He's right there.
This is what I was going to freaking bring up. You notice how the world blew up, the sports world blew up when Krzyzewski fired back at a reporter? Why doesn't this happen with Greg asshole Popovich when it's the same questions, but it's even worse responses than what Coach K gave?
Because there's always consistency with Pop. He's always short and to the point, and he
I'll tell you why.
his emotions get the best of him.
I think we live in such a hypocritical world.
No, Pop does it as like a bit. He thinks it's funny. Whereas
no, I quite frankly, this is again. Migden, do you have an idea? I just want to see if you're on the same page.
What were you gonna say? I didn't hear the first part of what you said.
Well, the media, the media, right? 90% of our sports media, it gets pushed out to other networks, but it comes from ESPN, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you
Popovich is in bed with ESPN. If you guys haven't, so I think that's part of it. I mean, plain and simple, they do not.
Where's that evidence? Where's that evidence? I want to know.
Well, I shouldn't. Okay, look at how politically correct ESPN is, and look at and I'm not saying that I agree with a lot of things. Like I agree with a lot of like Popovich talking about the vaccine and saying how.
Oh no, I wasn't even. I'm not. I wasn't.
But I'm saying that
I was saying
agree.
I was saying well before the world blew up. Popovich has been he's always been fucking around with reporters. I just don't think he really cares. He's a stern man. He has a military background, I believe, just like Coach K. You know, they don't have a lot of time for reporters.
I used to love Krzyzewski. My dad's cousins are wherever Popovich is from, and they love him, and I loved him for a long time. I think he really turned over the past 5 years. I think he turned into an an arrogant asshole. I really think so. Like when it's like the kidding is one thing. He's mean. He's mean. He shows zero respect, and it's consistent. It's almost every night. Like what?
I don't know. I think he views the media much differently than the rest of the league.
I think, Dean,
because I think players have nothing but good things to say.
Yeah.
Aside from maybe a little Kawhi drama, and I'm not getting into that deep hole because I think Kawhi.
Let's not get into it too. Let's not get into the Popovich. Maybe the difference is that Krzyzewski claps back at a kid, where Popovich claps back.
I mean, look, these guys are getting up there in age. I'm sure. I don't see a problem with them having bad moments. They're a little grumpy sometimes,
Yeah, but he's grumpy all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. We don't have to go into this. You know my take as long as we've had the show. Ever since he lost to C.D. Osman in Turkey and there was no media coverage, which goes back to Lazarati's point in bed with ESPN. Where's the media coverage? C.D. Osman's dropping 40 points on the USA. We haven't lost a game in 40 years. C.D. Osman, an eighth man on the worst team in the East, is dropping 40 on Marcus Smart and Kemba Walker.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Right.
That was
Jesus. Oh my God. All right, whatever. Man, it sucks that Clay's out too. Because those Warriors look good.
I can't wait till they not make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs.
Yes, they are.
I hope not.
They're going to make the playoffs.
All I can say is when Dallas gets in, boys, when Dallas gets in, you watch out. You watch out for those.
I'm also
Mavericks.
just spitting random thoughts, but I like Wiseman too. I think he looks good too.
Yeah, I don't think he looks great.
Like he's doing what he needs to do for the
Yeah. Like I think
they weren't like a big draft class. I just like how he looks. I think he's doing well.
Yeah.
I think Draymond's also a good mentor for him.
Oh, I was laying in bed the other night and I'm thinking like, why were the Warriors so great for all those years? And I actually think without Draymond, they don't win a title. Like I really believe that. He
Pretty bold.
He was a centerpiece. It is a bold statement. But I don't know. He was a centerpiece of that team. I think he was the key of the team. He's a real leader. Say what you want about him, because he does a lot of things I think are just bullshit and bush league, but he's got every single one of those guys in that locker room's back.
Yeah, he's a guy that you hate to play against, but you love to play with. I hear what you're saying.
He's a glue guy, basically.
He's a glue guy. He's definitely a glue guy. But, you could say they don't win without Draymond Green. I could say they don't win without Kyrie Irving fracturing his kneecap. They don't win without Kevin Durant. I can go on why they win.
Oh, they certainly don't.
They don't win if Zaza Pachulia doesn't have a dirty play on Kawhi. They don't win if Chris Paul's out in Game 7. I have a laundry list of why the Warriors shouldn't have won. Because I don't like Steve
Kerr. Yeah, but they did, so.
Yeah, Steve Kerr sucks. I don't like him. They love Steve Kerr out there, too. I was a year ago when I was doing training for this job, and I was out there, and I stayed right by Oracle Arena.
Well, how could you not? They won 3 championships under him.
I know, but, they think that but is it really Steve Kerr? You got to – I get it. It's that California – he's got that California look and the coolness to him.
Right, yeah. No, I agree with you there.
And I think it fits right in with the people that I was talking to. So I get that. But come on.
It's because you put – 2 of some of the greatest shooters of all time on the same team together. That's why.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the 2 greatest.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fair argument.
Is Steph the greatest shooter of all time? He's now 3rd all time on the NBA 3-point list. Is he the best shooter ever?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think number 2.
I mean, yeah. I think he is. I'll leave it at that. Megan's biting his lip.
But
yeah, I'm ready to wrap up if you guys are.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go on for hours. There's so much shit we haven't caught
I know
up
we
on.
drifted off there.
No, it's always good to drift off with the boys.
It is. We gotta get together and drift off.
I know. Last time you were getting a haircut from Steve.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, it looks good now. It looks like you finally got it back.
Yeah, I went for the skin fade. Wait,
I'm still waiting for my
when was that?
Maserati home invite. I haven't gotten the invite to the home yet.
Dude, I invited you not that long ago.
Oh yeah, you invited me to the Masters. Book me in for the Masters. I'll be there. What's it?
April?
In April.
All right. Well, I'll do a cookout.
Where is it in Westchester without divulging too much information?
It's just outside. It's in Exton. We're in Exton.
Oh, Exton. All right.
Oh yeah.
You're not that far. You're not that far from us, really.
No, I'm not. No.
Right.
It's really from where I live. I lived in Doylestown before. This is quicker. I get to Philly in 40 minutes. Maybe we ended on this because I'm a big weather and I'm a big traffic guy. I don't go into this city that much anymore. As of
I really don't either, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't. But I mean, when I was going, I would commute there for work a couple times a week. Now I don't go at all. But the traffic, what's it been like? Because when I was there, November or October to December, it was not bad. Is it still not bad? And obviously it's COVID related.
It's only bad on that one road. It's only bad on 76. Other than that,
But that's the worst road in America. I mean,
yeah, that's the only bad road in my opinion. I went to KOP 2 weeks ago and it wasn't that bad. So yeah,
I still think there's a shit ton of people working from home, so it's not that bad yet. I think
parking is tough.
Yeah,
parking is tough though because of all the people working from home.
Right.
Yeah.
Leaving their spots. I haven't moved my car. Before this past Monday, I didn't move my car since January 1st. So that was 4 weeks. It's a whole month.
Yeah.
Almost.
You might have had a squirrel's nest in the back of your car.
It's not the worst thing. All right. We got to wrap. 4th and long. We're back. It's been like a month and a half since we recorded. So for all you listeners out there, we're happy to get you back. The boys are talking up again. We got Super Bowl coming. Spring is kind of right around the corner. It's a good time of year. NBA is getting real hot too. NBA is getting real hot.
Yeah, it is getting hot in the streets.
And I have an idea for the spring for 4th and long, and I'll let you guys know after the show. We'll promote it. We'll promote it.
As always, at Fourth and Long Pod on Instagram. Hit us up. DM us. We always like some DMs. Maybe give us your Super Bowl prop bet ideas, and maybe we'll put it on the show next week. You never know. All right. Signing off. Laz, Deanie, Miggs. Good night, everyone. Have a great weekend. Enjoy, I don't know, whatever you want to do. All right. See you later.